Hello, and welcome back to episode 7 of Crafts Covens, a stitch along podcast. So, if you are stitching along today with any of your current work in progresses, let me know what they are in the comments. I don't think I've ever introduced myself. My name's Ruby. I am Blown Rose Studio on Instagram. And that is really just a space where I document what I create and what I sew and the art that I make, which is usually textile stuff, like the shirt I'm wearing today. This was it's a self draft, but also like a copycat draft of a shirt that I have that I love, that I thrifted. Or I got from, not Buffalo Exchange, the other one, Crossroads. I got it from Crossroads Trading, and then I copied the print, and then this is an Amazon bedsheet that I thrifted. You know, like those, jersey microfiber, like $5 for 5,000 king set. So I got this fabric from the thrift store, and I copied my favorite shirt, so now I have another one in a different color, and it's great, and I'm super stoked on it. Another project I recently finished was my quilt jacket. So same thrift store, actually. I got what I thought were like two, they almost look like twin bed covers, you know, like mattress covers with the quilty top on them. But when I was taking them apart, they actually had a tag that said they were like a cushion cover, like it's a quilted cushion cover. Anyway, very well quilted. They look like little clouds and very well insulated as well. So that's a super, super, super warm jacket, like doing better than my 32-degree heat puffer that I've been wearing all winter. So very excited about that project. That was done. It took me so many weeks. It was so challenging. I had to take apart pieces and redo them. I can also link the pattern that I used from Etsy in the description. It's another indie pattern. I'm one. It's an indie pattern maker, and she was really nice and answered all my questions that I had on Etsy very quickly. So definitely recommend her. I wouldn't really say it's confident beginner. I've been sewing for over 20 years, and I would say it's probably pretty intermediate, and your patience level must be high unless you are used to doing, are they welted pockets and shit like that, and working with my machines that I never failed me were barely able to get through that many layers of fabric. So there's a lot of frustrating points, but the outcome is beautiful and wearable and something that I use all the time, and I want to make a million of them. I want to make a million of them in palaka print. I want to make all these things that remind me of home, because I just went home for Christmas a month ago, and I want to make all these things that remind me of home. And I realized that it's a little ridiculous to make a bunch of Hawaiiana, palaka print, everything jacket, insulated, quilted jackets, because you don't need those back home unless you're going to Mauna Kea or something. I don't know. You don't need them on Oahu, where I'm from. That is I feel like all the other islands have more weather, but we do not. Sorry, y'all. It's fucking amateur hour. I left the dryer running and the air purifier on, and all these things that could contribute to background noise. I just listened back to the first part of what I recorded 2 seconds ago. Sounded okay. Hopefully it's fine. If not, I apologize. But we carry on. Yeah, I would say I'm at a weird standstill with projects. I have some quilts that I haven't finished in a year. All the quilt tops are finished. They just need to be actually quilted. And I'm just not enjoying that. My machine, I think I'm realizing its faults. Or not its faults, its limitations. My machine is from the 70s. It was my tutu's, my grandma's, and it was passed down to me a couple years ago. And everyone's just fucking buy another one, buy a new one. I'm like, yeah. Even her, she's like, yeah, that thing was a piece of shit, just buy a new one. But I don't know. I don't want to create more waste, and I don't know. So I'm playing around with the idea of actually having it professionally quilted, but we'll see if anything ever happens with that. Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue. Those are bigger projects that I can't sink my teeth into right now. And I kind of just want to, I don't know, make little shirts like I did and make jackets and make wearables. I've really, really been enjoying making clothes. And I think that when quilty time comes back around, I'll be ready for it again. I don't know. I'm being like less worried about even just like, you know, relational issues with family or friends or whatever. And I'm like, obviously it feels really stressful in the moment, but I'm trying to remind myself like, we've been through it before, we'll get through it again. Like, things will pass, you know. I will want to quilt again, and it's okay if they're unfinished for now. Trying to like keep that energy going into 2025, you know. Admittedly, I had filmed the last two, so episodes 5 and 6, back in December before I went to go see my family for the holidays. Then the holidays happened, and I couldn't get back on my feet with, I mean, just like work and life and reintegration and family and shit. And like, it was a lot to. I didn't post for, okay, TLDR, didn't post for a while. Scheduled those because I wanted to keep posting every 2 weeks in 2025. So it is February 2nd, but I think this is going up at the end of February. So I'm filming these kind of further in advance than I would have liked. So the topic for today, that actually helps, is my ins and outs of 2025, which I wrote on New Year's Eve. So I wrote these about a month ago. Haven't really read them over since. But these will be posted in like March, so it's not going to feel super topical. But you know, whatever. this is what you're getting. You're getting what you paid for, and you paid nothing. So I'll get into that in a second. I wanted to go through my current like music. I really like talking about music, obviously, and I like starting my podcast like that. Oh my God. Even like the music obsessions I wrote down, you know, a few days ago feel so foreign now. But I finally got on the Beaches train. Okay. They were getting recommended to me on Instagram. I felt like I was getting targeted, and I was like, okay, it's, you know, just because it's another girl band does not mean I'm going to like them. So I kept on skipping it, kept on skipping it. And then obviously I heard Blame Brett is like their most famous song, and probably the one that you've seen on your For You page if you are anything like me. They've probably made it onto your page once or twice, so maybe you'll recognize that one. But it was when I heard Jocelyn that I was like, oh shit, okay, it's not just one song. It's not just like a one-hit wonder. Actually, this is a really good band. And from there, it's kind of been a little bit of a renaissance for me. I feel like I've been listening to a lot of just male fronted bands or male artists for a very long time. Not intentionally by any means, but if you don't know my background, I used to play drums in a Riot Grrrl hardcore band. So I used to listen to a lot of female fronted music and a lot of Riot Grrrl and a lot of female fronted like rock in particular. I hate saying, I don't know why that sounds so cringy, saying rock, but you know what I mean, okay? And that used to be like my entire discography. And then as I get older and sadder, it becomes, you know, my real true red flag is that a lot of my music taste is made up of like sad white men. And that's how I know like music taste is not a choice. It's like, you know how people are like, oh, you know, gay is a lifestyle. It's like, no, it's not, and neither is music, unfortunately. Because I wouldn't choose to, like, it feels embarrassing to me, but I love it so fucking much. And that kind of brings me into my next Sad White Boys, which is Movements, who I'm seeing in April. And, you know, I'm going to be completely honest, I bought those tickets because I saw Citizen was on the bill. And I've been in my Citizen Renaissance phase all winter. They hit so different in the winter. Like Youth is an album that I think I've been listening to. And I also met them when I was like 14 or 15. They're really, really lovely. So I just have really good memories of like meeting them and that show and that band. And it feels really nostalgic for me also. And it's been a winter staple for the last, you know, 2 or 3 years as you know, when you revisit things a decade later. So, you know, I'm 24 now, listening to what I did when I was 14, listening to them with a new mindset. And it's really interesting to appreciate things in a new perspective, in a new way. So been listening to Citizen again. Youth has been on the docket, but I have been listening to their other stuff more too, and just appreciating them growing as artists and all the genres that they reach out in, and also appreciating their maturity. Because I can finally see that. I've talked about this before on the podcast, but like, especially alt bands that you liked in your teens. I feel like when you were a teen, you're like, please don't change your sound, please don't sell out. And then as I get older, I see it as they're literally just maturing. Like, and now I can appreciate it now that I'm older. But it's hard to in the moment when you're like, I'm angsty. Why aren't you angsty? It's like, well, it's because they are like 30 and maybe don't want to write songs for 14-year-olds. And that's okay, you know? But Movements, I bought those tickets. Then I was like, oh, let's see who else is on the bill. And I realized Movements is actually the headliner of that show. And I was like, okay, let me listen to them. Listen to them a little bit. And I was like, solid, really, really solid. Like, I guess pop punk. I don't know. I'm not very good at genre defining, but let's say they're pop punk. And I was like, pretty solid pop punk. Okay. I've listened to pop punk my entire life. This is, they're really solid as a band. They're, whatever. And that was back in maybe like November, October. I don't know what switched, but I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to them again. I'm going to try it again. The show's coming up again. Just see, like, I would like to know a couple of their like more popular songs just to like get in the vibes. And then I watched their live, I think live at like Studio 6, 7, or 8. Like one of those. They don't have an audio tree, which every time I watch an audio tree of a band, I fall in love with them. Not like romantically, like just I love them so much more. I don't know. It's like something about seeing them. Same with like when I see bands live, like I love them so much more. Like I would not have gave a fuck as much before, or maybe I will, but when I'm like discovering new bands, like seeing them interact with each other, seeing them interact with the audience or interact with the song or like show emotion through how they play, I'm like, oh my god, wait, I feel it, I'm there. Like it triggers some empathy with me, I guess, that was not there before, because I just, when you're scrolling through Spotify and there's a million new artists and you're like, okay, like one song and go. But I watched their live and I actually like listened to the lyrics, and I was surprised at, I guess, the depth in their contents. Not that like, well, actually, maybe it is. Okay, so like depth in pop punk isn't always there. Like sometimes it feels really superficial and shallow and teenagery. And that's like more second wave, but like third wave and whatever we have now, maybe we're still in third wave, is definitely, I don't always want to say more mature, but it is older people now making the music, so it feels a little bit more mature. But the themes that Movements goes into, I find really interesting, because it's the first pop punk band that I know of that talks about getting old, which I like really, because historically, okay, pop punk was in, it's like living in the moment and like being a teenager or being naive or being, it's either like there's like the party kind of, like, when Neck Deep is happy and they're like, it's like pizza, skating, and then there's the part that's like more like emo side of things, but not necessarily emo, but it's like there's crossover, okay? Genre is genre. I'm talking very generally here. But you get like more emotional and they actually talk about like what they're going through, but it's usually very in the moment. It's usually about romantic stuff, it's about a girl, it's about friendships, it's about like relational dynamics of the moment. But they have this one song, I forget what it's called, but I believe it's about dementia, and I saw like a snippet of the music video. You know how Spotify has like the GIF when you play a song now, and it's usually from the music video, so I'm assuming it's from that. It was like an older couple, and he has this line where he's like, what will I become this way when I'm old? And I believe, I haven't done any research or heard any interviews about it, but it sounds like he's singing about his grandparents and them passing away with dementia, and how that's like genetically, he's like predisposed to it. And I just thought it was really interesting, because it was literally like the first emo pop punk, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that talks about seeing yourself in the future and like seeing yourself get old. And that like really, I like made me like way too fucking emotional. Same with, I've been listening to a lot of La Dispute, and I can't handle it. Like it's hard for me to listen to it because it moves me way too fucking much. It's like, I don't know, just and hey, this is after I watch their audio tree. It always happens. I watch one audio tree and then I feel so deeply and connect so much with these people. Um, I don't know what it is that like really does it for me. Live music. Have you ever seen that meme that was like, when, or a tweet or some shit. I remember reading it. And it was like, when the super religious kid finds out that they're not actually religious, they just really liked live music. I don't have a religious past, but that resonated with me anyway, because I feel like live music affects me almost like way too fucking much. It like does way too much for me. Not even live. I'm listening to like Spotify La Dispute mix. I'm like, I'm fully in it, and just hearing them talk about their hometown and oh yeah, just the contents of those songs and like actually listening to the lyrics does, like I can't handle it. It's so good. It's really really good. So those are musically what's going on now. Now that we've done all that, we can bring out the ins and outs of 2025. My first in, and this was so easy to write: shameless gossip. Okay? And I know what you're going to say. Judgment, others, da da da. Okay? But gossip was labeled, I heard, and I'm not a historian, but I heard that it was labeled gossip to like demonize women from talking to each other about shit, like about what's going on. And I think there's like I think there is some healthy amount of gossip. I think there's like a good way to transfer information, especially woman to woman, about what's going on, especially within a patriarchy. They like don't want us to have any power because gossip has power. Why do you think Bridgerton exists? Okay. Um but it is powerful, and it's like it's a connector for a lot of women. And there's also an unhealthy amount where you get way too caught up in it and like family drama and the whole bit. But I do think it is useful information, and I do think it is helpful to talk through it with your family, with your friends, with your partner, about what's going on maybe in other people's lives, or even people you don't know. Maybe it's celebrity gossip. I don't fucking know. I don't like to follow it because I don't like to feed into all that. But sometimes it is helpful to talk through it with my partner and make sure we're on like the same moral compass without us actually having to go through the situation. You know what I mean? Like we can talk through this hypothetical for ourselves or talk through something that's happening to someone else. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we're on the same page. We'd be good. And it actually feels really good to talk about it with him or like with my friends, because we actually didn't have to go through anything, and I know that we're solid. So I think there is a healthy amount of gossip or of information sharing between each other, and I'm honestly tired of acting like it's not fun as fuck. Okay. I think there's things to be said about being really judgmental, but also that judgment it helps to clarify who you're talking to and making sure you guys are on the same page. I don't know. I haven't fully formed my thoughts around this yet, but I think there is an amount of gossip that helps relationships, and there's an amount of gossip that is destructive towards relationships. Don't know what that is, but I don't think I've crossed that line. Although word gossip, while fun, sucks to kind of get too into because my Google chat has been pinging me and I need to get shit done. Another trash journaling. I just found out about this trend and I started one with all my like Christmas wrapping paper and receipts and random stuff from my trip back home. I think it's a really fun way to document your life and where you've been, especially because you pick up so many things just throughout living our lives now. I feel like everyone wants to give you something so you remember them, or that's digital, which is fine, whatever. But for the things that I have physically, I hate throwing them away. Although I will, because I don't like clutter in my space either. But it is a fun way to like get your creativity out with materials that already exist. Another in is electrolytes. Okay. When I was home, my mom had this moon juice. I'm not sponsored by anything because I'm not big enough to do that, frankly. But she had like an electrolyte mix, and I drink it every single day, especially back home because it's so fucking hot and it's so fucking humid that like my body was more dehydrated than usual, and I like wasn't ready. So electrolytes have actually really been helping me function differently, and it also connects to some of my health issues like electrolytes, and specifically the amount of like sodium that I because I always need salt on my food, and I notice my mom does too. Like no matter what, she's like, I need salt on my food, I need salt on my food. And people, the general health police, I don't know, the fucking general health knowledge is like sodium's bad for you. But for my specific conditions, it's really good for me to have like, I guess that it helps regulate blood sugar. Okay, sodium helps regulate blood sugar. So when I constantly am reaching for salt, it's like my body's self-regulating. It also tastes really good, but I notice that if I don't eat enough salt, I get bloated. So like balanced amount of salt is what we're talking about, y'all. It's just I've cut down a lot on like processed foods and shit like that just cuz that's not occurring in my diet anymore. I have to add salt. Not that I don't salt my food when I cook. My food is good and my food is flavorful, but electrolytes are the shit and they make me feel so much better, whether that's over salting everything because that's what my body needs, or like drinking a little electrolyte drink because those are more popular and accessible now, and that's been feeling real good for me. Although some of them are way too sweet, okay? I just bought that like 30 pack of liquid IVs from Costco, and I didn't know I was going to have to dilute it in a gallon of water because it is so strong and so sweet. That was like way too much for me. Okay, so I'm realizing which ones I wrote drunk on New Year's Eve. And the next one that's in is fan fiction and smut. I don't know when I wrote. I don't read fan fiction much, but I think that I should because all my friends have so much fun with it. Like what's so funny is that one of my best friends, Danielle, she has other best friends, but she likes to keep us like separate and just like know about each other. So we're like these parallel lives that have never actually crossed paths, which is weird and hilarious. But I do know that she like writes like hardcore fan fiction on Tumblr still. And I really love that I know that about her, but don't know her. You know what I mean? Like that means a lot to me. And I am not here for the weird amount of like slander on smut online. Like read your little fairy porn novels. I don't know why everyone's so fucking pressed about it. Like personally, my thoughts on like actual pornography, like video or like Playboys or like anything like that feels degrading to women for me. And I have also dated people who are addicted to porn, and that was really, really awful in my relationships. So that's not something that like we tolerate in our relationship now. Not that my current partner was not that same partner, okay? That was someone in the past. Okay? Phil wouldn't do that to me. So that's not part of my life at all, and it's not something I want to support in any way. But the weird amount of slander I'm seeing online from like women policing other women for consuming books with like lots of sexual undertones, or like Bridgerton or other things that are produced by women or influenced by women or respect, like in a more respectful way to women. Like it's more ethical, and it's instead of giving like, I don't know, it's just giving like purity culture. It's like when spiritual people are saying like, well, I need to release like my uterus, my vagina, my ovaries, whatever. Like my reproductive system is holding on to like past spirits or past energies of other people. Or like you can't have sex because your body holds on to the energy of past partners. Or you shouldn't have sex quickly, or you shouldn't have sex if you're not in a soul tie. Girl, that is the same Puritan rhetoric rebranded into your spiritual. Like, I don't support any of that. I think there's like you know, do what you want with your body. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your body, but like that's the same thing as don't have sex until you get married. Don't have sex because your body will hold on to their energy unless you have a deep bond. Like, girl, it's the same shit. It pisses me off. It pisses me off. And I think we should let women enjoy things that are not harmful to other people. And I think there are probably a lot of nuances that we could get into with the amount of kink, domination, power, all that shit that's going on with like smut, and like that is a whole conversation in itself. Um, but that's like very detailed and very, we're not here for detail. We're just here for, this is literally a bullet point that says smut. So that's what we're doing. Ins is also texting back. I've been texting a lot of people back. Okay. I deleted Instagram at the beginning of January, and I realized that the people who I actually want to talk to text me anyway. I just need to learn how to text them back. I'm terrible at texting back because I get really shut down during the day and then incredibly overstimulated. Then I like don't want to be on my phone at the end of the day. So now that I have created more space in my life by deleting Instagram, I finally text people back, and it feels good to like keep ongoing conversations and connections with people. So that's definite in for 2025. Also in, I walked on my little walking pad over there for an hour, and I deleted all the contacts that don't contact me, I don't need, or I don't know exactly who they are or why I should need to talk to them. So if you text me, say who this, I'm sorry, might have deleted you by mistake, but also, is there a reason we're talking? Don't know. Actually taking my supplements. That's a big one. I have such an old lady pill case, y'all. It's like a not 3 day, but it's like morning, afternoon, and night. I take probably 20 pills a day at this point. I'm seeing a naturopath. There's a lot of shit going on with my health, and I'm on a lot of different types of supplements and vitamins and minerals and figuring shit out with my body. So I take a lot of them, and they are helping. They're making me feel better, but you actually have to take them as designed and at the times that they are supposed to be taken at for them to work. Figure that out. Been doing that more, and actually like carrying around my little pill case in a purse. Another in that I didn't write down, I carry around purses now, and I am never like, I don't have to be uncomfortable anymore. I could always have a hair tie. I could always have lip gloss. I could always have hand sanitizer. I could always have lotion, like just because I didn't want to like carry around something. But I got one of those like Baggu sling bags, and I have everything I need. Sunglasses. Like I never have to be uncomfortable. But then sometimes I carry around a big tote so I can have like jackets and like other things that just help me exist in the world. Because when I leave the house, it's usually in a hurry because I forgot I was supposed to leave the house. So then I only have like my keys and my phone. Then I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're existing like this today, and I'm freezing and I need lip balm. So, in purses. Another in is my walking pad, and I have weights now. And the day that I got my walking pad and set it up, my partner got it for me for Christmas. I put on one of those fucking YouTube supermodel POV. You're a supermodel playlist. You're Adriana Lima. You're a Victoria's Secret angel. And I strutted, and I strut for like fucking 4 or 5 hours while I was working, and it was great, and it makes me feel really good. Another in that is related to this that I didn't write down is like so it's the winter. I have a tendency to get really depressed during the winter, like more so than usual. And when those kind of onset like hits me really quickly, or when I notice it, moving my body always helps. And that sounds like the worst advice because you're like, I don't want to work out when I'm sad. I'm not saying that. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm going to do one of those really energetic like YouTube workout videos and see if that helps move some energy. Sometimes it does. Sometimes they piss me off. My partner knows this. Sometimes I watch them and I'm like, fuck you, girl. You're making me so fucking mad right now. Sometimes especially when I'm like in my luteal phase and just my patience is so short, I'm like, fuck off with your big ass energy. Like, sit down. And I'm like, okay, so I don't want to be doing this right now. So I'm going to do something else. But moving my body, whether that's, I've been DJing a lot. I didn't add this in DJing. Okay. I've been DJing, and no matter what, I like always move my body to the beat because I've been working on like beat matching more like by ear, by visual. So I always have to like move my body with it. So it automatically makes me dance, or it's like songs that I like because I'm DJing songs that I like. So I like want to move. I want to groove. I want to dance with it. So DJing is like a way for me to get that depression to kind of move through and for me to feel better. Or my walking pad, or like taking my dog out for a walk. Or my walking pad also, I can run like at a slower pace, but I can run on if I feel like running, or YouTube videos of workouts or like yoga or something like that. So that's been really, yeah, huge in. When I feel sad, literally move that energy. Sometimes also moving energy means just taking a really good shower. That first, water has always helped me, like taking a good shower. And that's been great. Another in high quality materials, specifically with fabrics that I'm working with. I have been sewing with different fabrics, and I'm going to start getting snooty because it feels so different to sew with like really good quality materials. A good quality denim feels so good to feed through your machine. Oh, more ends is EDM and dancing. Okay. I had so much fun. I saw Tinzo and Jojo again because they came back around my area, and I didn't feel like going out. And I was like, I think I was on like the first day of my period, and I was like, I do not feel like driving to the city right now. Like, that sounds awful, to be completely frank. I was like, that sounds so awful. I don't know if I want to get dressed up. I don't know if I want to go like meet people. I don't know if I want to be moving my body. Then I got dressed up. I followed the theme. I got all cute. We drove out. Easiest parking in the world somehow for free. Got a couple drinkies, and I had one of the best nights in a long time. And I was so caught up in my own world of like family shit and especially work shit. Like, it felt like the world was crashing in on me. And then I went out and I danced and I connected with people and talked to people and danced with other people and met people and listened to music and just like really truly danced my ass off for like 4 or 5 hours. And I was like, oh, this is real life, right? Like, I work remotely from home. If I just close my laptop, this is real life. And even like with my family stuff and relational stuff, I live far away from anybody, like any of my immediate family. I could turn my phone off, and then real life is like still here, but just to like really dance and see a DJ set and like feel inspired again to like keep going, keep moving, keep living. Like, yeah, that was really, really, really helpful. So even when you don't feel like doing it, even though I felt like shit, I was like, all right, I spent money. So we're gonna go. If there's one thing that I am, it's cheap. So we're gonna do it. I'm gonna get my money's worth. I say cheap, and then we finally got the bill back from that night. Like, we were looking at our credit card bill. I spent $150 on hard seltzers at that show. I had three. I had three. And then my partner had like 2 drinks, so 5 drinks, and they're $150. Crazy. Also, hadn't been that drunk in a long time. Don't know how well you know me. I don't drink that much. I drink maybe once a month, and I only drink like socially or celebratory. Like, I don't drink at home, and I don't even drink when we go out on a date because it's like I have really bad acid reflux. So like, if I have one drink, what's it gonna do? Just make me feel a little bad. So when I do drink, I want it to be like fun and celebratory and social. I was also sober for a really long time just because I was curious about it. So that definitely had a big effect on how much I drank and just like losing all the social pressure to drink. So if I don't want to, I really truly will not, because I know that like the people I keep around me like will not judge me for not drinking. You know what I mean? So it's all fun, it's all good, but I got really fucking drunk at that show, and I like didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, I need to be walked to the car. Not like I was still walking, I was still good, but I was like, oh my god, I have work tomorrow. Like it's midnight. I'm looking around outside. It's midnight 30. We're at a hot dog stand in the middle of the city, and I'm like, I literally have a meeting at 7:30 in the morning. What the fuck? Incredibly worth it. Wasn't hungover the next day at all, actually, because I drank my electrolytes when I got home, and I ate a super salty In-N-Out burger. So we're good. We're so good. I can also tell. I asked my friends. I had like a New Year's party, little not party, just cutesy. This was my first like cutesy little lay low New Year's. I had two friends over and their new dog for a sleepover at my house because I usually would like my dad hosted like fucking block parties growing up, and then when I wasn't doing that, I was like partying, house parties or just partying really hard with my friends. So this was my first like low key cutesy New Year's, and it was sweet because I didn't know how long or how loud the fireworks were going to be. This is like a new area we lived in, so I didn't want to leave my dog alone and like go dancing downtown. Although I think I could have. There was no fireworks. Fire risk too high, California. You know, they don't fuck around. So, um, but I can tell this was Danielle who wrote public shaming, which kind of ties into shameless gossip. But this is like she and so many of my friends, specifically from the Bay Area, have zero tolerance for bullshit. And that's where this comes in of like you see something, say something. No, fuck that. Public shaming in front of I'm not pulling you to the side. I'm not being a sweet Midwesterner and being like that. Public. It's on site. And that's just kind of yeah, it's cultural. It's the way it goes around here. I'm getting used to it, and it's actually really freeing because that's how I naturally want to talk to people. Um, but you can't do that in Southern. I lived in SoCal for a little bit. It's very truly fake there. Seattle is like no one talks to you there, and then in Hawaii, it's so friendly. So you also there is a level of fakeness where you can't just be this straight up with people, and I appreciate that from around here. Uh, the term fuck ass. I love saying it. I say that's a fuck ass bob, that's a fuck ass haircut, that's a fuck ass lip color, that's like a fuck ass car. That literally anything could be fuck ass. It's just like there was oh dear lord. So one of my best friends in the world, their ex, after they broke up, got a really, really, really awful bob. And look like captioning pictures fuck ass bob in a text thread goes crazy, and then like comparing them to like the Quaker Oats man. Yeah, okay, take that one if you need it. And ins my last this is my last in. Okay, I know I've been talking for a minute. um I am finally accepting that I'm a rah rah music ass bitch. And what is rah rah music, you might ask? So we all know I like emo, we all know I like pop punk, we all know I even like thrash metal, and like that is not rah rah music is very specifically like this 2008 2010 like post hardcore kind of. Okay, are you getting the vibes a little bit? Like I have a playlist of rah rah music. I wish I knew this. I wish I accepted this about myself earlier, because all the people around me were like, I don't like screamy shit, right? I do. I really do. And like accepting that about myself has been great. My rah rah music playlist so far, we have Enter Shikari, Sausen, and Dance Gavin Dance, and we are going to expand it. I just started this very, very recently, where I was like, I can finally accept that I'm a screamy, whiny, rah rah music ass bitch. And I can see when other people are too. Okay? I remember watching, so my boyfriend and I watch a lot of like YouTuber videos. Like we don't have cable, we don't have like TV, so we watch a lot of YouTube. And we watch a lot of commentary YouTubers. I remember watching Drew Gooden and being like seeing something in the background. I was like, he's a rah rah music ass bitch. My boyfriend's like, yeah, how the fuck did you not know that? You've been watching him for like years longer than he had. I was like, I knew I felt something. I was like, I fucking knew it. He's a rah-rah music ass bitch. So I like pointing it out in other people and feeling that connection. Because I was like, you. Because it's so, I don't know why it feels so secret. You know what I mean? To be a rah-rah music ass bitch. You're like, you know that from like Monsters Inc. or Monsters University. I don't even think I watched that movie, but it's like the mom who's like, bye kids, and then it's like heavy metal. Like that's how I feel because I'm so like smiley and friendly in person, and then I'm like, then the rah rahs go. You know what I mean? The rah rahs go in my ears. Me walking my dog, saying hi to the neighbors. Rah rah music playing. Okay, we have some outs. Ooh, this is a good one. My first out for 2025 is Angry Orchard. So I recently had to go gluten free, and that also affects like the amount of alcohol, the types of alcohol you can drink. So I've been going more towards gluten free hard seltzers, and ciders have been a new one that I found. And for my birthday, we went to Sonoma and we went to like a cider bar, like a specific one, and they had hundreds of different ciders, like things that you, because most people just know Angry Orchard. Once you try an actual good cider in wine country, Angry Orchard is going to taste like shit. It tastes like a fucking apple lollipop. There's so much better cider out there with like different flavors of apples and different levels of funk and like different levels. It's so fucking good. So like good cider in, out, Angry Orchard, dude. I'm so fucking over it. Do not hand me one of those. Out is also fabric softener. I bought some fabric softener for the first time last year because I was hang drying my clothes in the summer, and now it's like way too wet to do that, and it won't even dry in front of the heater. But otherwise, I don't think I noticed a difference. I bought like a Costco jug, and I don't think it's worth it. I think Out is fabric softener, and I also heard it can like have your clothes cling onto more dirt than they would have because it's like a stickier surface. Again, didn't study this shit, just heard it, and I feel like it does coat my clothes with like a film that I don't like, and it doesn't feel as clean. So I'm pretty anti fabric softener right now. Oh, well, that's real. My next one. I haven't read these like since January 1st or December 31st. Another out just says male gaze / patriarchal pressure for beauty. So if you listen to episode 5 of the podcast, so about a month ago, girl, not my bakery story notification. I'm still making them cakes, y'all. After deleting Instagram, I have been playing and very addicted to phone games, which is hilarious. But it's helping me keep off of Instagram, so I guess it's working. I guess it's fine. But don't look at her, okay? I'm embarrassed as is. You don't have to talk about it. Okay. So if you watch episode 5 of the podcast, I went through a big like non-binary gender identity crisis where I just didn't know, like, my everything felt wrong. My hair felt wrong, my face felt wrong, my body felt wrong, like everything felt wrong, and I felt like I experienced like true gender dysphoria for possibly the first time, or the first time in a very long time. I'm back in girl mode. Okay. Or at least I'm like feeling more comfortable in, like, I'm not presenting as feminine as before. I realized things about myself that I didn't know before. So like I'm finally feeling more comfortable in like makeup and nails again, even though I just took my nails off this morning, so don't look, but they are quite long and pretty. Like long nails. I like hated my long nails when I was going through that like crisis phase, okay, like a month, 2 months ago. And now I can like have long nails and those feel good. Now I can wear makeup like I am today and like that feels good. My long hair feels okay again. Very glad I didn't cut it all off because there was a good 2 month period where I was like, I'm getting a fucking bob. I'm doing it. I'm cutting all my hair off. I just got it really thinned out and dyed it dark, and now I'm like, okay, we're good. We're fine. Everything's fine. It's not like it's calmed down a little bit. I could tell I was in like this heightened kind of irritated state, and that was not serving me at all. Like if I made any decisions, I was going to regret them. So now that we're back down to like an operable level, things are fine again. But I did learn a lot about myself and how, if I was to present more queer, or more non-binary or more androgynous or more masculine like I really wanted to in the moment. And I still might want to again. I might just be in a weird phase right now. Who knows? That wouldn't serve the patriarchy. It wouldn't serve the male gaze, and it would take away a level of protection from being perceived more as cisgender, as being perceived like a cisgendered woman. That I would lose that right, you know. And also, I have like I'm straight passing enough, unless like a lot of people might disagree with that, but uh I'm like cis and straight passing to the people where it matters, where they would like be judgy about it or be, you know, usually older people or people outside of the cultures that I exist in, okay? Outside of the circles I exist in. Like if a queer person clocks me as bi or queer at all, I'm like, "Oh, okay, what are you going to do about it?" You know, it's fine. Um but I realized that if I started presenting the way I wanted to, then I would be more in danger. Like insist I would not be able to potentially would lose potentially. I don't know what would happen. I would potentially lose some of the how easy it is to flow throughout society, like lose that ease. Maybe feel more perceived negatively. Like I just didn't want I don't know. I hadn't thought about that, I guess, for myself before. I've definitely thought about it for other people. You know, I have empathy and I can understand as much as I can understand, not from my own experience, but like from actually listening to people, like listening to trans people and different non-binary or androgynous people. But I won't lie and say that naturally feeling like I'm back in girl mode after the inauguration is good timing because I feel a little bit safer, and I also feel a little lucky at the moment that I am bi, I'm queer, but I'm dating a man for a long, like a cisgendered straight man, and it awards me a lot of privileges and it makes my life a lot easier. And I don't know what that there's like more here, definitely, right, to dig into. Don't know what that says about me, but I guess I'm grateful for the privileges that I do have and how life has worked out to award me those privileges. Um and maybe there's more that I'm like too scared to let out at the moment, you know. Maybe I don't feel like challenging the male gaze and the patriarchy completely. Maybe I have enough going on, and maybe more queer gender expression will come out later in life when I feel more on my feet. But lots going on in this brain right now, so I think if I can take it easy somewhere, I will. I don't feel like challenging anything right now. I have too much going on. There's too much going on in the world, so right now I feel comfortable as is, and that might change in the future, and I am grateful for what I have. I think we'll leave it there. And another out is Instagram. I deleted Instagram and I feel renewed. I didn't realize how much of my day it was taking up. I feel like this is how people felt about the TikTok ban, but I didn't have TikTok, so that didn't affect me at all. Um, but for Instagram specifically, I didn't realize how much of my day, even passing moments, were taken up by scrolling through reels. I was actually pretty addicted to Instagram in like high school and middle school too, because there was like big social currency with like how many likes you got or how you interacted with other people and like how people perceived how nice you were versus like if you liked or didn't like something, or you know, there's like a lot of social stuff was based off of Instagram because that was the only like social media platform when I was younger, or because I didn't have a MySpace and I didn't have Facebook until I got older, and that was just like for family. Like it's not for I never connected with anybody on Facebook. Okay, I didn't actually use Facebook like a social media site. It was more just like for my great uncles. You know what I mean? um, but I got so much of my life back. I feel like, unfortunately, I wish that I wasn't as addicted to Instagram as I was, and you know, I might re-download it and become addicted still. But it's been a good experiment for the past like 3-4 weeks without it, and getting a lot of my like time and day back, and how weird it is that I don't really miss it. And I've been getting more stuff done. I've been reading more. I've been like, there's spaces in between where I actually breathe instead of just automatically being on my on reels and like scrolling. But I do really miss having like a brain dead in between activities moment, because I don't want to be productive all the time. Or I guess I wish I could without feeling like shit, but I'll burn out. So I need to find like a good in between tasks reset. But that's, yeah, deleting Instagram's been really good. And that's been my New Year's resolution for how many fucking years, is to like get rid of your scrolling addiction. But I was never brave enough to actually just flat out delete Instagram. I always made another excuse to, whether that was like keeping up Blown Rose Studio, which, yeah, maybe I have been posting less, but I'm trying to find a system where I can like maybe have Instagram on our like house iPad and do it and like upload stuff to Blown Rose Studio there, and just like not go on my personal, or find a way to do it through the computer. So I'm like finding ways around it. I'm not giving up on my Blown Rose Studio Instagram forever. It's just like right now taking that pause was really good, and I have been wanting to do this for so long. And I wish, like what I talked about in the very beginning of the episode, of it was, like it just happened in time. It's like when I quit smoking. It's like when I quit, when I went sober for a little bit, I quit drinking, and I quit smoking weed. But when I quit nicotine, I had been wanting to quit, or talking about quitting, or, like whatever. And then just one day it all clicked, and I was like, cool, I'm done. And I'm going to keep myself to that. And it was hard. It was rough. It was awful. And I had to like wean myself off. I still had to plan. It wasn't like, and I'm cured. But with Instagram, it was literally one day, and I was like, I'm just going to delete it and see what the fuck happens. In that, I can't believe I did that, because like there's been so many years of me fighting myself to stop my scrolling habit, or like put the fucking time lock on it, and then you can just go through it and like say like and ignore and like super quickly. So that just became second nature, and I wasn't making conscious decisions around my consumption of content. And I'm proud of myself for being able to do that. And I don't really know what comes next. Like, I don't know. Do I never have Instagram again? Do I put it on the family iPad? Do I have a post scheduler? Like, I don't really know what to do now. But that experiment has been successful so far. It's been very positive. And I wish I could have just like in the past years that I've been pressuring myself and feeling so guilty about this addiction, this habit, been like, hey, you'll fucking figure it out one day. Like one day it's just gonna feel like you're done with it. And I was. And that day finally came. And I'm glad it did. It's been positive. So with that, it's my book shutting for all you audio listeners only. That was my ins and outs of 2025. Let me know yours in the comments. Let me know what you thought of mine. If you disagree with me, which is fine, you can disagree with me. We're all our own people, and this is my life and my podcast. And I say whatever I want, because I don't have any sponsors or anyone to hold me to saying specific things. So I say whatever I want. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Crafts Covens. My Instagram handle is Blown Rose Studio, and that's where you're going to find, that's like home of this podcast, and also home of all the crafty, artsy things that I do. Sewing, quilting, all that. So all of that content is going to be on Blown Rose Studio. I also have an Etsy at Blown Rose Studio, and a YouTube page where if you're listening to this podcast, you can watch the YouTube video, so you can get all my lovely hand signals, which I had my doctor comment on the other day. I saw an eye doctor, which you'll notice that I'm not wearing my glasses. I can't fucking see. I just didn't think they went with the fit. Cuntiest thing I've said on this podcast so far. And he was like, yeah, okay, I can understand your hand motions. I'm Italian. I was like, well, one, this is called Giovanni's Eye Care, so I think I understood that. I couldn't infer that, but I didn't realize I talked with my hands so much until he said that. But in case that helps you, in case you're a visual person, that's for you. Enjoy the live. And also, I like to put little pictures of, things that I'm describing or the albums I'm listening to, or, just I like visual. I'm a visual person, but I also believe that podcasts you should be able to like enjoy them by audio. So, goodbye. Thank you for listening, and subscribe to whatever, like Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, like subscribe or follow or notifications. Any of that shit really helps support. Rating the podcast, I didn't realize that really fucking bumps you up in all the, I want to keep doing this, and I want it to feel like I'm getting a reciprocal amount of support as I'm putting in effort. So if you're listening to it and you like it and you want to support me, you can just interact with all the buttons and shit and share it with people, and that does a lot. So thank you. Bye. Choking, cool.